Oh, look, this is certainly not Devin Haney putting on a masterclass by any stretch.
Right hand, best punch of the fight for School.
Or that, and maybe we can get this fight a little more competitive.
It's a really good shot by School. He pouncing on him. Look at that, he's on his bike. Wow. His legs aren't all the way back, but they're good enough to run.
Oh, shit! Oh, wow! What a night! What a night! Listen, War Room. One of you asked me, and it's the topic of this video. One of you asked me, ShowBizz, was this the worst weekend of boxing ever? Look, I'm going to tell you this. You guys know me. I'm not about complaining. I'm about solutions. But to answer that question, let's put something in perspective here. Devin Haney versus Ramirez is considered a pretty shit fight, okay? Definitely uneventful. There was a total of 110 punches landed in that fight. Canelo versus William Skull for undisputed. One more punch landed total in that fight, 111. You mean to tell me in one weekend you have Haney versus Ramirez only landing 5 punches more than the Shakur versus De Los Santos snooze fest? You really thought it couldn't get no worse than that. But then the very next day, Canelo versus William Skull for undisputed. And this beautiful Ring Magazine lineal title, only 111 punches landed. That's pretty atrocious. That's ridiculous. But like I said, I'm not about complaining. I'm about solutions. So the question is, what was the problem? Okay, I mean, that was my first thing. What was the problem? Look, I think 2 different problems happened. Because in my opinion, Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero was pretty uneventful as well. It went viral. And Rolly did drop Ryan Garcia. And it was a huge upset with a highly unlikely decision win for Rolly Romero. So it's a viral moment, but it was pretty much an uneventful fight. I think there's a reason for all of that. Let's talk about the Times Square fight on Friday, May 2nd. I think we found out the importance of a crowd. Egos like the ones Haney has and Ryan Garcia has, even Rolly Romero. Those egos need a crowd. We didn't know the value of it completely. Now, I know we went through COVID, but now we know. Even with Devin Haney, like I've never seen Devin Haney fight like that before. And I thought it was because, okay, he was afraid to get hit. I don't think it was just that. If there was a crowd roaring and booing, boo, they would have stepped it up. Ramirez would have stepped it up and Haney would have stepped it up. They would have. Because many of these fighters feed off of the momentum, feed off of the environment. They feed off the stadium. They feed off the crowd, right? They feed off the atmosphere. They feed off of the moment. I think with Haney only hearing his father, Bill Haney, saying stuff like, good work, just stick and move, get it. He's hearing him clearly. And it's not drowned out by a crowd who wants to see gladiators perform and wants to say, listen, you got to perform in a way that I am happy that I spent this money on you. That the win isn't just good enough. Devin Haney wouldn't have felt good about his performance if it was in front of a crowd, right? If it was in front of a crowd, Devin Haney would have stepped up. He would have beaten Ramirez anyway, though. But it would have been a better fight, all right? He would have beaten Ramirez. I mean, it's obvious he's better than Ramirez. He would have beat him anyway. Same thing for Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia said, man, I felt flat. Ryan Garcia's ego-driven, right? If he got dropped and the crowd went, what, and just screamed, he would have got up and would have fought more violently. When he got rocked by Haney, he snapped because the crowd went crazy. He's a crowd-appealing type of guy. He didn't hear those things. And honestly, I think Rolly Romero's the same way. He would have swung more. He would have went to finish Ryan Garcia more if he heard the crowd roaring, okay? All they had were their nerves. I think we now know for sure the importance of a crowd. If you look at Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr., those two fighters are good fighters, but they put on an all-time performance. You thought it was outside of their wheelhouse. Well, it's because of the atmosphere, bro. It was the moment. They saw the entire stadium going nuts, and they gravitated to that moment. They leveled up for that moment. I think it's just learning. It's just realizing, okay, all right, we need a stadium. We need a crowd, okay? At least that's what I think the solution could be. That's what I think. When it comes to Canelo versus William Skull, all right, William Skull that was just pathetic. I don't compare William Skull to Haney. They're two different level of fighters. Haney's a far better fighter than William Skull. That shit, he was terrified. You can't win no damn fight like that. All right, I mean, by the numbers, Canelo only landed one punch more than William Skull. But he landed far more power punches than William Skull even landed jabs. But you have to understand what a power punch is. By the numbers. A power punch is anything outside of a jab. But so by the numbers, that's how it looked. But when you look at the fight on top of the numbers Canelo won, but barely. When you look at outside of the numbers and look at the fight, when you know that a power punch is anything outside of a jab, and you see that William Skull is punching like this, some power punches landed, while Canelo was stalking him and landing hard shots. His power punch just was more aesthetically appealing, and you felt that it caused more damage. That's why he won the fight. I'm gonna tell you this, okay? The running shit must end. The running shit, listen, bro, those people, either they can't get paid, good contracts, or if you have a style like that, something has to, because that will kill the sport. Like, that's not, at the same time, it's entertainment. That would absolutely destroy the sport. That would kill. Runners cannot get involved, because at the end of the day, it's not about you and your win or safety, or it's about the customer. It's a business. It is. So if you're not willing to fight, don't be a fighter.
So if you're not willing to fight, don't be a fighter.
Is my thing. We want to see fighters because it's our attraction to violence is why we like boxing. But boxing is the sweet science too, so there's a craftsmanship and an art. But at the same time, we do want to see violence. That's why a knockout is the best thing that can happen in a boxing match. That's why Rolly Romero versus Ryan Garcia is even going viral, because of the knockdown. You get what I'm saying? But then, to top that off, this huge moment happened.
Here it is, the official face-off. The date, September 12, Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Bud Crawford.
Holy shit. That almost saved it all for me. All right. Let me tell you what's that. Have you ever seen or went to a movie that has all the elements, but when you went there, it just did not produce? right? Like it just did. There's a movie that has all these actors and stuff. You're like, yo, this got to be great, and you go there, and it just comes up short. But then something happens at the very end that just raised the hair on your skin. Let me give you a few examples. Terminator Salvation. I was like, I am so ready for this movie. I go to the movie is shit. But then this happens. I lost my mind. Hey, let's get another one. Let's get another one. How about The Marvels? I watched that movie and almost fell asleep. The movie was shit, but then this happened.
What happened?
We were hoping you could tell us.
How about the greatest example of all? Jason Goes to Hell. That movie can go to hell. But at the very end, out of the blue, no one knew this was going to happen. This happens. And that was before Freddy vs. Jason. That is the reason why people wanted a Freddy vs. Jason movie, because that was incredible. So this whole weekend, we're anticipating a great weekend of fights. It comes up short, but then this happens.
For the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world.
That stare down gave me chills. I lost my mind. I had a boxing orgasm. I did not realize how much that stare down was going to do. I just wanted to see it and see how I was going to feel about it. We all know Terrence Crawford is knocking on 40. And we all know Terrence Crawford is supposedly the small fighter compared to Canelo. He's just too big. But then when these two great fighters met, and these legendary all-time first ballot Hall of Famer fighters were sitting there in this matchup that looks highly unlikely, I start to get those chills, bro. It's like Chris Eubank Jr. kind of being that fight should not happen, right? Kind of being's way too small. But then when they were there and their fathers were there, the chills. How unlikely you would think it could be to have Terrence Crawford and Saul Canelo Alvarez stare each other down and prepare for a fight, literally talking to each other. That was incredible, and it saved it all for me. To see that moment live, I was there, and I was calling the fight in the Zone War Room.
We in the Zone War Room. Canelo Alvarez fighting for the 67th time of his professional career, but for the first time ever outside of North America. There's a pretty big height and reach edge for William Skull, but Canelo says, I've made a living out of chewing guys like this up and spitting them out. It's time for our main event. Let's go into the ring and Michael Buffer.
Gave you instructions in the dressing room. You know what I expect of you both. Keep the fight clean. Obey my commands, most importantly. Protect yourself at all times. Shake hands, boys.
Well, Skull was mostly respectful in the build-up to this fight, but did give a little trash talk saying he was going to eat Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo responded, the only thing he's going to eat is my fist. Well, Skull's got the size advantage for sure.
Yeah, but he's fighting squared up. See, and that's why Canelo's taking advantage of that body squared up against the ropes. You need to get in an angle for Canelo. Don't give him that body. Then you can fight in and out instead of laterally.
He's just been in complete control. William Skull is doing kind of what I thought he was going to do, which is move around a lot, fight off the jab.
Oh, there's a right hand, best punch of the fight for Skull.
Or that, and maybe we can get this fight a little more competitive.
It's a really good shot by Skull. He pretended to jab just to come with a half uppercut, 45-degree punch. Awkward combination. That's the reason the right hand landed.
When he fought Jaime Munguia, he was right there in front of him. Hey, he gave Skull around.
What does he have to be near?
Oh, truck there from Canelo.
you're also here to win a fight. You want to frustrate, you want to move, you want to use all your assets, all your attributes. And yes, School's using everything he has. And he's showing some guts by countering off the ropes like that, but they're not landing. Those punches are not landing cleanly.
As he moves forward, trying to get School against the ropes. Now has him in the corner, and that's when he can unload two of them, and it dropped the hands of Skull, who gives him a smile. There's a body shot from Canelo, answer with a left from School, who gives him that smile again. There's a left hook from Canelo, as School momentarily stops moving. A little combination there from School after Canelo landed a body shot.
Here are the score totals. Pablo Gonzalez scores it 115-113. Ron McNair has it 116-112. And Danrix Topthausen has it 119-109. All three scores go to the winner by unanimous decision. Canelo